friends too. This is BleachBANGS Music, and we are sitting in with Ace, the lead singer of the band Aeraco. Aeraco always sounds so professional and so good, whether it's on an interview that I've heard or on your albums. How do you guys go about doing that?
Long story short, we're just super OCD, man. Like we hate, we don't want to sound amateur at all. We hate, it always sucks when you find a really great band and then you listen to an interview and it's kind of shitty and you're like, yeah, that kind of ruins it. These guys are kind of amateur,
right? And then that's usually how it comes across. If I'm talking to more than one person on the phone, it just sounds like trash, and it's almost like sorry it sounded so, and I can't even edit enough to get anything out of it, because if you put in shit, you can't really put perfume on it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of
that's the old there's two editing, you know this, man, because you do this. There's two sayings that are very true when it comes to production, whether it's movies or whether it's sound. The first one is shit in, shit out.
Right.
And the second one is we'll fix it in post. And I filmed them. I was cast as like a lead role in an independent horror movie a couple of years ago, and I couldn't tell you how many times we heard, we're just gonna take care of it in post, and it's like shit in, shit out, man.
That's exactly what it is. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. I mean, some of these, and most of them just set the phone in the middle of the way I picture them. I don't know how they are in the room, but in the middle of the floor, and everybody's screaming, you're like, what the fuck was that?
Well, what people don't understand is number one, it's not it's not meant for that. Your phone is not meant for that. Number two, it's the same thing like yesterday when people were trying to take pictures of the eclipse with their phone, and I'm like, you do realize when you're zooming in, you're not actually zooming in.
Exactly.
You understand? And I'm telling them that, and they're like, wait, what? What do you mean? I'm like, you're not zooming in. You're enlarging the pixelization in your phone.
Yeah, there's an optical zoom, and there is what's the other one? I can't even remember, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and you're just enhancing. You're not even enhancing. You're actually you're just compressing it in a way to a point where you can see into the pixels more. Actually, what you're doing is you're fucking up the image.
Right.
Well, and then people go, well, the iPhone is 4K. And I'm like, yeah, that's because they have lenses that are like $5,000 that they put on it to film movies, and they actually have like servers and stuff to dump that information. Never mind. Forget it. Go ahead. Take many pictures as you want, you jackass. Go ahead.
I know. So I just wanted to ask you guys. I told my wife right after that interview, and I was like, it was both of them on there. And she goes, oh, how did it turn out? I go, it sounded awesome. And she goes,
it was like talking to Fergie and Jesus. It was great.
It was. I was like, I don't know how they did it, but if I ever get to talk to them again, I'm going to find out what they did and pass that on to the other bands. If you want more than one person on, please use this protocol, because it comes across a lot better. By far, you guys had the best sound that I've come across on a phone interview. I usually hate doing phone interviews just because they sound like crap usually. And my wife's like, well, it's what you're using. I've got a Zoom H5, which is, it's not a shitty recorder. A really good, I can't remember what kind
Zoom's
of mic.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Zoom's not bad, man. We recorded our first demo for All or Nothing on an old shitty Zoom, and it came out. I listened to that demo for like 3 months, waiting for the album to come out, because it was good. You heard everything. You heard the bass, you heard the drums, you heard the guitar. I'm not the best singer in the world, so it was hard to hear the lyrics. It was great, you know. It's like perfect levels, man. But you know what bands? The thing that we pay attention to is that everything is all encompassing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's this when people are looking you up, when people are Googling you, when they take a look to view you, what you're doing is you're giving them a holistic experience of the band. And when you say, you know, when you do a shitty interview, that's not necessarily on the interviewer. That could also be because the band refuses to invest in just a lav, or like a simple lav mic to patch on their shirt or something like that, where they can easily switch it. It's like, look, if you plan on being a big fish, you need to fake it until you make it. And people aren't going to know. You know, people aren't going to know. They're not going to know the difference. If you sound good, if you feel good, if you look good, if everything is up to par, they're not going to know the difference between you or fucking Slipknot, man. They're not going to know. The only thing that's going to play the difference is Slipknot's making more money and playing bigger shows. Other than that, they're going to go, yeah, why aren't these guys up on a big stage?
Yeah.
Everything about them is just legit to the T. But if you skimp out and, you know, you rather use your show money to buy beer and, you know, you don't spend money on the necessary equipment to not only sound good on stage, but sound good when you do interviews and things like that, it shows and it reflects in a way that we don't want to, you know, we don't want to be a part of that.
I totally agree, and you guys, that is brilliant, very brilliant. And a lot of bands just think, well, I'm going to promote myself on Facebook, and that's all I've got to do. And it sounds like you really got it down. So, kudos to you, man, because it's awesome.
I got a question last week from a guy. I did an interview with Antihero, and he asked me a question, and he said, now that it's the DIY age and bands can self-record and self-produce and self-promote, it's easier to get heard. You know, how do you feel about that? And I said, I feel as though that's a complete misrepresentation of the music industry right now. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, what do you mean? I said, look, man, I might have been born at night, but I wasn't born last night. Like, I get it. I understand the worth of things, you know? And when it comes to, like, social media stuff and things like that, I'm like, people don't understand that the worth of something is based on the rarity of what the something is. Like, for instance, as a country, people say, well, if we're in so much debt, why don't we print more money? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great if that would be great if inflation didn't exist, you jackass. If you print more money, your dollar, that loaf of bread goes up to $10 a loaf now because you, Mr. Genius, decided to do that. So I told him, I'm like, the same thing has happened with the music industry, man. We've experienced a massive amount of inflation because it's the DIY age. So is it easier to get online? That's a completely different question as opposed to, is it easier to get heard? It is 100 more times difficult to get heard now than it was in the 60s or the 70s because there's so much noise. Everybody has a band. Everybody has an acoustic guitar. Everybody's playing. So with that being said, you have to learn to break through that by educating yourself. Being a good musician is not all it takes anymore. Being a good businessman is what it takes. And if you don't study your craft, you're putting the odds, you're stacking them against your deck.
You are extremely brilliant. I really mean that. There are so many bands that could take a lot from you, what you just said.
I wish, you know, and honestly, and I would tell those bands, I would sit there and I would go, you know, I didn't just learn, you know, you learn this stuff by just going and doing it, you know, and reading and being, I'm obsessed. You know, it's funny because I'm not really a big Conor McGregor fan by any stretch, but he said something. Someone said, how do you feel about having a God-given talent? And he said, my talent isn't God-given. I'm obsessed. This is an obsession. I'm absolutely obsessed with being the best. That's it. The only difference between me and anybody else is I'm going to outwork the shit out of you. And that's in every single possible, imaginable way that you can think about it. I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to outread you. I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to outpractice you. I'm going to outplay you. And that's the only way to...
There's no free lunch. There is absolutely no free lunch anymore. And those days are gone when, oh my God, these guys look so awesome. And I mean, music companies and record companies used to just, if they had the look, they would try to mold you and they would write the songs for you and they would just, you know...
Well, the funny thing is they still do. And if you want that, They still do, because
know.
they have a failing business model. It's extremely top heavy.
Mm-hmm.
They have overhead, and they need to compensate with that overhead by producing a bunch of bullshit. And that's how the music industry keeps perpetuating the same things. They hire the same fucking producers, the same bands with the same stupid, retarded tattoos that, you know, look like they were, you know, they look like they were raised in Compton, but they were really raised in Beverly Hills. Give them a cool stage name, and then guess what? We're just going to mass produce the shit out of these guys.
Yep.
And you know what? When you go to see them live, what happens? Everybody calls their bluff. They sound like fucking trash, and then you know what happens? Everybody bought that one album because it sounded good, and then the record label goes to them and says, "Hey, we're going to release you guys from the label, but you owe us a lot of money because the tour didn't break even." So that's exactly why we never did any of that, man. That's exactly why we read the fine print.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly why we got advice and sought advice from the right people, because this is a business. The reason I play music with a passion is because I feel as though the music community is insulted by what the music industry does, what radio does. I feel like they're insulted in a way that fans, what you are is you are a number, you're a paycheck, you're an algorithm, and there's not much respect left for the art, because what they're doing is they're making a paycheck off of you. They're going, well, solos don't sell anymore, so fuck guitar gods. Guitar legends and guitar gods, there's going to be no more of those. We're going to do breakdowns now with cut time. We're going to do harmonies because harmonies sound great. And I'll tell you this, one of my biggest idols is Metallica. Fleming Rasmussen tried to suggest James Hetfield do harmonies and try that stuff, and he said, fuck that, I'm not doing that. And Fleming said, I'm glad that he didn't do it, because he was an angry fucking kid with a chip on his shoulder. And guess what he wrote? That was during Master of Puppets. I sit there and I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, the only way that new things get perpetuated, the only way that the music industry reinvents that wheel is by bands coming out going, fuck that, I'm going to do my own thing. And that's exactly what we're doing. And you know what? It sucks, because that's the long way to do it. That's the hard way to do it, because you're not selling out. You're staying true to what you believe and all that. The easy way to do it is just say, fuck it, I'm just going to sell my soul to the devil. I'm going to play what they want me to play. But that's compromising your musical integrity. I'd rather be on my deathbed going, hey, at least I fucking tried and stayed true than sell my soul out, you know?
Yep. And that's really kind of why we started BleachBANGS, because we were listening to the radio and we're like, what the fuck, man? They're playing the same freaking songs over and over and over. I didn't even like this song, and now I'm singing along with the lyrics. That's what the fucking music industry, or the record industry, does, is they sell those songs to the radio station, and they make us. It's like mind control, basically. I mean, you hear the song. For
lack of a better,
you hear the song and you go, God, that's trash. A week later, after you've heard it 565 times, you're kind of going along with it, and they're on the music awards. That band is, it just pisses me off.
Well, you know what it is. It's all an inside job. It's all a giant bank robbery to the music industry. Coming from a business perspective, don't get mad at the game. Learn how to play the game. The game has never changed. Radios have never changed. It used to be legal for you to pay the DJ, the jockey, to play your song. Now it's illegal, but it's not illegal to give them gifts. It's not illegal to give them free tickets to shows.
Yeah.
It's not illegal to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get you this Hummer, and you're gonna raffle it off to your 15th caller, or whatever the case may be. That's not illegal, but that is synonymous. That's synonymous with a monetary gain. Now, let me tell you this: you're a program director, right? Your job depends on how many people you're reaching, the megahertz of that studio, and how many people you're reaching. Now, answer me this: if your livelihood depends on it, are you going to play some new fucking band that people are going to change the channel? I never heard this shit before. And guess what? Now your commercial people, now they're losing out on those commercials. Now they're losing out on that reach. Harley Davidson's got to sell motorcycles. That fucking restaurant's got to sell beer. But you know what? Now, because you're starting to play new material and people are going, I don't want to hear this new shit. I want to hear old shit. Because they're doing that, now people are changing the channel. And now, as opposed to having 30,000 listeners a day, Now you've got 15,000, and now your commercial sales are going down. So now your boss is calling in going, listen, I hired you as a PD because I wanted you to expand our market. You're playing all these fucking new guys and nobody wants to hear them. From a business perspective, you can't get mad at the game. You just got to learn how to play the fucking game. And when you learn how to play it, that's going to set you apart as a band by educating yourself, not getting mad and folding your arms. Hey, that might work for a punk band, but it ain't going to work for a heavy metal band. Actually, it's probably not even going to work for, it's probably not even going to work for a punk band because you still want to get on the radio. You still want to do things.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, man.
So how do we fix this? How do we fix this? What do you feel the answer? Because I've asked a lot of bands this. It's like the music scene in the U.S. is totally different than over in the U.K. You go over there, they're ravenous, and
Europe in general.
Yeah, they will just tear you
Europe
up.
in general.
And
Europe in general. We've gotten more outsiders. We've gotten more outsider requests from France and Germany than our own country.
Yeah. That does not surprise me one bit. What is going on in the U.S.? We just want to fix this.
This is one of my theories as to why, and I said some of this in the Anti-Hero one too, because he was asking similar questions, and I'm like, look, the issue with the society that we live in is we're the strongest country in the world, right? But what created the strongest country in the world? It was capitalism. So through capitalism, you have free market. With free market, you have all these people who are looking to make $1 million. With all these people looking to make $1 million, you've got 120 million people trying to sell you some shit throughout the day. Now, if you gave every single person that asked for your time that wanted to sell you something throughout the week, you wouldn't have any time left to yourself. In America, we walk around with our horse blinders on because we know that we got to, no, I'm not interested. No, I don't want to talk to you. No, I got cable. I'm good. No, I've already got a cell phone.
Right.
I'm good. You walk with your horse blinders on. And that's good because you're protecting yourself as a consumer, but it's bad because you're not exposing yourself to anything new. The way that, I guess one of the ways that you fix this is, well, it's very difficult to fix because working in the music industry, you work with a lot of assholes. There's a lot of dicks, and unfortunately music industry is like a national convention of people who are just kind of fucking egotistical and don't want to work together. It's very difficult to pull together people. It's very difficult to pull together people whose business is party. Like, it's very difficult to round these people up. But at the same time, if you look at it years ago, the transportation industry had something very similar to like this. Workers' rights were not right. It was legal to, if you drove in a truck, it was legal to say, hey man, if you get a flat tire, I'm not going to pay you until someone comes and fixes your flat tire. And by the way, I'm not going to pay you time and a half for holidays. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to pay for health care, blah, blah, blah. This was legal. So eventually, guys came along and unionized and said, look, we're not going to take this shit anymore, man. We're not going to play for exposure. Thank you, but you can go fuck yourself. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but my $50,000 worth of equipment that I brought to this show, I'm not going to be able to pay those credit card bills on you spotting me. Thanks. I appreciate that, but I'm good. But the issue is not enough bands banded together to say, look, we're not going to take this. There's shark promoters. We don't do enough to expose the wrong people. We don't do enough to support our own community of fans, of supporters, of street crews, of bands and musicians to say, hey, if you come to Dallas, don't work with this guy, not a good guy to work with, bad experience. Hey, don't work with this venue, this promoter's an asshole. Hey, I'm a band in Chicago, I'm coming through Dallas, who can help me out? There's no unified approach to this. It's all everybody on their own separate islands, and that's why there's not enough. The waves are there. It's just not enough big of a wave to make a splash where enough people notice.
That's awesome. You're a brilliant motherfucker. You really are.
That, man.
No, you really are. I'm really impressed, and I really like the direction that this has actually gone. I mean, I haven't asked really one question from the last time, and this is this is awesome, man. This is the type of stuff I love, man. It's just like, what can we do to fix what's going on, and you seem to you understand what's going on, and you understand you're in a business, and you understand that there's a bunch of assholes out there just to take advantage of you.
Well, there is, and what I also understand is people claim to say, "Oh man, the music industry is filled with assholes," and I go, "Well, yeah, but have you ever worked in retail?"
Right.
They go, "No." And I go work in retail. There's assholes walking around everywhere. If you think the music industry only has assholes, you give mankind a little bit too much credit.
You're right.
Because morons and assholes are evenly dispersed no matter where you go. It's in every industry. So when people used to say things like, "Oh man, do you know what your chances of success are in the music industry?" And I go, "No, Captain Obvious. Tell me what your made-up statistic is of what I can do to make it in the industry." And they'd say, "Oh, it's like in the 1 percentile." I say, "Okay, well, thanks for giving me your made-up statistic to make me feel better about pursuing my dreams. I really appreciate the support and the confidence. Now I'm going to give you a real statistic. Do you know what the failure rate of opening up a restaurant is within the first 5 years?"
What's that?
No, of course you don't. Of course you don't, because you want to give me statistics, but you don't look up any other statistics. The failure rate in the restaurant business, if you want to be a restaurateur, is right around the 90th percentile. You are 90%
Oh my heavens.
sure that you're not going to make it past your first 5 years. And that's with startup costs. These are people who invested $500,000.
Right.
They're going to fail. I got news for you. They're probably going to file bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
But wait a second. There's no startup cost. I've already got all my equipment bought.
Mm-hmm.
All I need to do is go record an album, make sure it's good, and just go out there and play and expose myself and bring those opportunities to myself. And you're going to tell me I'm in the 1 percentile? Like, are you out of your mind? Listen, the only reason that Steve Wozniak is Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs is because one day there were a bunch of people telling them, "You can't change the world the way the world communicates," and they went and said, "Fuck you." Well, guess what? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you and your 1%, fuck you. Tell me what I can do, what I can't do. I'm not good with that whole glass ceiling shit, man. I don't work well with that at all. The minute you tell me something, I remember when I was in high school, my high school football coach came up to me and told me, "Hey, man, I can't use you on this team." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Ain't no college ever going to take you. Look at you." And I said, "What the fuck did you just tell me?" 3 years later, I went back and I was a walk-on on a D1 team and then transferred to play on a D3 team to play football in college. And I went up to him and I told him, "Listen, man, you had nothing to do with everything that I've accomplished. But in a way, you had everything to do with it. Because I want to let you know something. I wanted to come back here to prove you fucking wrong. I've been the underdog my entire life. So when I wake up in the morning and when it comes to the music industry, I'm just a student of this game. I'm in it every day. So when people might go, "Man, you sound like you got it together," it's a beautiful compliment and I appreciate it. But it's as humble as it gets. All I know is I know nothing. I might wake up 5 years from now and listen to an interview and go, "Man, I didn't know what the fuck I was." But the point is I recognize my platform right now.
You know where you're at.
I don't know. I know where I'm at, and I know the information I can use, and I'm constantly learning. So, these are answers that you can definitely use if you talk to bands that are talented. Feel free to spread that message. And I don't care who gets the idea. I don't care if 20 years from now the next Metallica comes and says, "Yeah, I thought a unionizing band." And I listen to that interview going, "No, the fuck you didn't." I was saying that back in 2017, but I don't care. As long as it benefits the metal community and the rock community, I don't give a shit who takes credit for it. Spread the word across the land.
As much as I love this, we got to get into Baptized by Fire. Baptized by Fire. You guys are self-produced, self-recorded, self-everything. What kind of difficulties did you guys come in doing that all by yourself?
The exact kind of difficulties that you'd want to get into, aside from having somebody else do it for you, and like we talked about, signing your life away.
I love it.
It's just you learn. We don't look at anything as a failure, man. Nothing's a failure to us. It's all an opportunity to learn. It's all an opportunity to understand how things are done and like I said, it's a learning experience for us. So nothing is ever a failure. We never go into anything. We look for the hardships. We look for the problems. We look for those issues because we get excited about it. It's a chance to learn and to do things better the next time and deliver something better to fans and to the music community. So, yeah, I could go off on a list of all the bullshit we went through, but that's pointless because we don't see it that way. We got 2 albums. Yeah, the first one we released ourselves called All or Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The name of the band is called Aeraco, spelled Aeraco. You can find our music on our website, which is aeracomusic.com. So that's aeracomusic.com. And then most of the channels that you would find, iTunes, Amazon, Google Market. Our first album's up on CD Baby because we released that ourselves. But you can find everything on our website, man.
Too cool, man. And like them on Facebook. I'm sure you're on Twitter as well.
We're on Twitter. I'd like to be on there more, but we're.
It's kind of like me. I haven't quite figured out Twitter. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't know what it is.
There's nothing to figure out with social media because people are more distant than they've ever been because of social media.
Yeah. Agreed.
If I could meet every fan personally, I would, but it just doesn't work like that. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We're on Instagram and all that shit. If you wanna see what kind of fucking stuff we're eating or see our duck face or whatever, I don't fucking know. You could go and follow us and check us out.
Too cool. Well, thank you, Ace. This was an absolute wonderful interview. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your insight because I've said it before. You're fucking brilliant. You've got it down.
I appreciate that. And, I'll say this. I'll reach out to anybody. 2 heads work better than 1, and 5 heads work better than 1. If there's other people who feel like they have good ideas to make the music industry better and give people a better experience when it comes to the music that they love, fucking reach out, man. Talk to Randy, talk to me, reach out to us, give us ideas. I don't give a shit. Let's write a goddamn book about it.
Hell yeah.
Care, but
I love this guy.
At least you're doing something. At least you're trying something to improve on something that might be broken or that you're dissatisfied with.
The baby 1% success.
The 1%. Yeah, go fuck yourself. 1%. Yeah. All right. 1%.
All right. Well, thank you, Ace, man. It was wonderful. You're a riot, dude.
It's always a pleasure, brother. Anytime.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Later, man.
Bye.